covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now. Coverage you can count on.
Multiple counties across the state that do the same thing.
Cutting back public comment, the latest controversy out of the Shasta County Supervisor's Chambers. Plus,
well, the city should take some liability for chasing them into the neighborhood.
who picks up the pieces when a car chase ends in wreckage? One homeowner shares her struggle. But first,
that's what I'm mad about. That lady should have never died.
the deadly dog attack has neighbors on edge. We hear how they tried to prevent that attack. New at 6. We reported last week when a Great Dane mauled Davina Corbin to death in Feather Falls.
Michelle Bandor shows us the warning signs neighbors say they saw and reported before the attack.
The autopsy revealed Davina Corbin had numerous dog bites and injuries, with the coroner ruling that she did die because of a dog attack. Now, one neighbor tells us these same dogs attacked him and that he and other neighbors have been calling Butte County Animal Control for years about these Great Danes running loose. This is video one homeowner in the rural neighborhood outside Feather Falls recorded of some of the Great Danes on his property more than a year ago.
They come across the road here at me, and I jumped in the car and I left.
Max Hecker says he's had more than one run-in with the pack of large dogs over the last 2 years.
There was a lot. This road would just be solid tracks of them dogs, and they'd be out here in the road. You'd have to wade through them.
And he says he's complained to Butte County Animal Control every time. Hecker says other neighbors have also reported the dogs, even the day before the deadly mauling.
Nothing's been done about it until now. Wait until somebody gets killed by them dogs? That's a tragedy that should never, ever have happened, ever.
After Corbin's death, Butte County Sheriff's deputies served a search warrant at the property across the trail from the attack. They spent all day Friday rounding up the Great Danes, which are now being held at Butte County Animal Control. Hecker says they should have seized the dogs when the complaints first started coming in.
That's what I'm mad about. That lady should have never died.
Animal Control says at this point it has no plans to euthanize the 25 Great Danes. Hundreds are without homes after the Park Fire, the Thompson Fire, the Apache, the Rail Bridge, and Grubbs fires broke out in just the last 2 months. To help get people off the streets, the Butte County Board of Supervisors voted to relax building and zoning regulations that stand in the way of survivors and temporary housing. This is to allow the fastest possible transition to long-term shelter. But Butte County Supervisor Doug Teeter raised concerns after his experience with the Camp Fire.
Someone could have a surviving home, whatever the setback is, maybe 30 feet from their ash debris, they're able to live there. But a person with an RV, when FEMA got involved, wasn't, and they threatened to not fund because they felt that it wasn't an immediate risk to the public. Makes no sense. There's no common sense with that. But I'm totally fine with what we're proposing. And if FEMA gets involved, maybe this time we can convince them of how their thought wasn't common sense. Maybe we won't. But I think it's worth getting folks back to their property that might have nowhere to go.
Development Services says the ordinance will allow people to live on their property if it is safe, adding that the ordinance can be altered at any time if needed. We told you yesterday that Shasta County was expected to extend the same ordinance for Fawn Fire survivors today, a similar ordinance. The supervisors decided to table the topic for next week's Board of Supervisors meeting.
there are no longer any evacuation warnings or orders in the Park Fire in Shasta County. The whole area of Shingletown, right north of that black line you see right there, that was previously under a warning. But now the fire is nearly 40% contained and has barely grown since yesterday. CAL FIRE says the fire is still actively burning, though, in the northeastern Tehama County area. The only evacuation orders still in effect are in that area. CAL FIRE wants to remind you that if you're returning home, please be aware of potential hazards like hot spots and debris. Now, a live look over to Hayma County in the area of Mineral, and you can see some smoke there way off in the distance, but it looks way better than it did last week.
Completely different, doesn't it? And Chief Meteorologist Howie Gordon is tracking the conditions, which are greatly improving, Howie.
Yeah, we're cooler, we're breezy.